Welcome back. If you have been here before, my game changers. People that are up to something. And for those of you that this may be the very first video you've ever caught, this is the Maturity Project. This channel is designated to giving insights that could actually give you a different life, to help you figure out where you need to develop yourself that will help create more fulfillment in your life's experiences. So, I'm your host, Chad Everett Bro Shears. Today's conversation is as I scroll through social media, I see a lot of people that, like, I look at it just to help keep a pulse on what people are going through, because it's not uncommon for people to put a lot of stuff out that they truly are going through, even if it gets, if they're filtering it through their persona, right? The who they want you to believe that they are versus the reality of who they actually are. Social media gives you a perfect place to kind of play pseudo celebrity. So, but people are still showing what they're going through. They're talking about it. Their topics are oriented towards something that at least has some degree of interest and value to them. So, very common things that I see are relationship challenges, or it's almost always challenges. There's not a lot of people that put out their victories and the joy of having them. Sometimes it's just, hey, I got to this goal, wonderful, I'm feeling the joy and cheer and glee of it, and I'm going to share it. And then, but there's not a lot of people that actually create the living world of the reality of what it's like to pursue goals and all of that, and to, create things that are long-term meaningful to us. We're getting down to more of a society that's all about single serving and the, what's in it for me with them, right? So if we want to turn this table, stop being so distracted by the things that actually at the end of the day aren't that important, or give us the tools necessary to pursue the things that are truly important to us, but we're not developed enough to actually have a healthy, long-term, sustainable solution. It's more of like modern dating. No one wants to actually seem to go through the challenges, the arguments, the hardships of life. It's more of I can replace you tomorrow if you don't act right. Unfortunately, we've seen this happen, through political movements throughout the last century, where the family was taken apart or at least attacked, if successfully, by reducing the dependence that relationships can create, in the sense of, we still got to work through these hardships because we're raising a family, or we got to work through these hardships because, we're together because of marital status, or, religious beliefs or whatever. And then we see, at this point, it's, the divorce lawyers right down the street. There's really there's little to nothing. It's all types of different relationship types. There's all kinds of things that have changed, and we're trying to navigate that in a way that we're trying to find that degree of satisfaction and success, the fulfillment of relationships. But yet, a lot of these challenges are self-induced. We're creating them because we don't understand how to work through things. We get positive movements, like the no toxicity or toxic people need to be removed from your life movement that came out of the optimistic movement that is all about, if you're not happy, something's wrong in life, like those kind of things you're influenced by. If you are one of those people, I'm not attacking you. And you don't have to go into the defensive mind to say, hey, yeah, maybe for some of us, but not all of us. Don't make exceptions for the time being. Just accept the fact that, it's a probable possibility that you are in that position, but you have a better way of packaging it. And again, I'm not talking down or talking bad about anybody. It's more of, let's talk about the challenges that we're really dealing with. What is it that's got us to that part where we're really struggling? So if we want to understand that, we got to talk about it. We got to do something about it too. Insights come first. I like to package things with something that has a title of meaning, or something that people can associate meaning with, so that it becomes easier to reclaim. Instead of just saying, hey, let's say you've got this box that has all these challenges that you haven't completed, and you're carrying this around, and we call it baggage or whatever. We got to give it some sort of title to give it a living value that we could really work with. Well, I'm a fan of mythology, and I love history. There's all kinds of things, and I see that there's wonderful lessons that were taught by some of these things, actually by a lot of them, and how to repurpose those things. So Pandora's box is a Greek mythology, story of Greek mythology are in it, and it's about having a box that actually has, touts of great possibility, potential, and it has a lot of opportunity inside of it. Is the way that it's viewed, because curiosity has people open the box, or Pandora open her box, and it turns out that it actually is full of chaos. It's a curse of the gods, if you will. One of the gods that was really upset with Pandora having the preferences that she had, and it was just a way of punishing her. So you open Pandora's box and you let chaos out. Well, for me, we go through life. If you want to start qualifying things to make it into something usable, something that you can make a difference with, something that empowers you, that gives you the ability to say, you know what, this can change my life. Now, I will encourage you, don't look for the things that'll change your life that are the magnificent big thing, because those don't come around as often by comparison. You'll find yourself waiting for life to happen to you if you're looking for the big thing to show up, versus the little things that accumulate to the point of being a big thing. And we'll get back to that towards the end of this video, as far as giving you some real interesting ways to qualify some of these and then quantify them, so that you have an army of opportunity waiting with you that's actually you and your history. So I'll get into that towards the end of this, which is the what to do with Pandora's box after you have eliminated the chaos. But first off, chaos itself is lessons that you have not learned. You are avoiding learning the lesson. That's chaos, because you do everything you can to try to stay away from that lesson. Pandora's box is full of chaos, which is where you put all the lessons of your life that you did not want to learn, or that you avoided learning for whatever reason. You have validation for it, and you'd probably argue with me till you're blue in the face, saying the validation for that and how I'm wrong by getting you to try to pursue that thing. I'm just going to tell you, no matter which way you want to go with it, it will come at a cost to keep it in the box, to keep Pandora's box actively healthy, because it just keeps accumulating things. Life's going to continue to come at you. You should have learned a lesson somewhere in your past that you're getting a little bit more of an evolved version of that, because you have evolved. You're an adult. You have developed to whatever you've developed to. And life has lessons for you waiting to help challenge the character that you forged yourself into. It is part of the forging process. But if you're not prepared for that lesson, it's going to be harder. And you'll see how some of those things are connected based off of the blueprint or the structure behind the scenes of that lesson, which it could be that you just needed, instead of time out, maybe you needed to get your little butt spanked when you were a kid. You needed to learn the lesson about what happened and why. Why was it that you got your butt spanked? Or let's say, why was it that you got sent to time out when you disorganized the bookshelf? You don't understand the benefit and the outcome, the beneficial outcome of having an organized bookshelf, because that's a direct reflection of an organized office or an organized house or an organized car or organized life. But if you don't understand the benefits of being organized, you don't thrive for or strive for organization. You just want to kind of let things happen however they might or however they may. Well, that creates greater problems later in life, because things are continuously disorganized. You come up with your own organization system that is harder to teach to anybody else, so that it makes it more of an isolated thing for you. Life is full of this stuff, right? How to have conflict resolution. A lot of us are taught if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, if you learn that at a young age and you get older, you start suppressing, and you suppress a lot. You suppress whenever you're told that. Then you suppress later on in life. And then you may have the knee-jerk reaction of becoming an asshole and no longer ever suppressing another thing, but you do it without any kind of tact. So you just come across as this raw, undesirable experience for people whenever you decide you're not going to tolerate something specific. So a lot of ways of doing this to understand it. These things add up. Lessons add up when you do not learn them, which continue to add to the chaos. So it's going to come back around. Something will come back around that is directly associated with a blueprint value and possibly even pattern recognition to what is a previous event you're kind of tired of, or you know it and you don't want to deal with it. So lots of ways of looking at this, but chaos is chaos nonetheless. So when you have a lesson that you've been unwilling to learn, it goes into the box. when you try to quarantine it or reduce its active play in your life. So you try to put it away someplace. Well, where do you think you're going to put it? Well, with this, I'm just going to tell you, it's Pandora's box. You put it in there. You are loading chaos into that thing. Here's the interesting thing about it is, that thing doesn't go away. You just keep popping those lessons in over time. Some years more, some years less, but you still continue to put lessons that you were unwilling to learn in Pandora's box, because that is a way you've learned to deal with life. And then curiosity becomes your curse, because you meet, let's say in a relationship way, plenty of people you don't want to deal with. You meet somebody that's pretty damn close to the way that you want your partner to be. How you want them to look, what you want them to smell like, how you want them to feel, like all of the things that continue to contribute to the curiosity. And then you say, okay, if I want to have a relationship, you don't even realize you're opening Pandora's box. You just say, hey, I really want to get into this relationship. Now realizing you do have to open the box to get that out, because relationship is stuck in the box. It's stuck inside of Pandora's box. You just have some sort of artificial concept, some sort of surrogacy of relationship that you have learned to deal with when it comes to relationships that are outside of the box. It's just non-fulfilling. It's just something that makes you feel like you're just not really living in a relationship. You just feel like you're having one. Big differences, which is what I see a lot of complaints about online, is just people aren't really having relationships. They're not living in the relationships. They're just having them. So they're not living in them, right? They're not taking the responsibility necessary to live in a relationship. They're living with the idea of it, and then they're just talking away. They talk about it like it's a show, like it's some sort of entertainment, something to give them value and meaning, but at somebody else's cost. So it's very narcissistic, actually, but we don't look at it that way because society's not getting to the point of doing that. Plus, also, you're not doing it with malice intent most of the time. You just don't realize it, that you very well are being received that way by some people, and the dangers of what you're doing to somebody else's reputation because you're unwilling to work on yourself or unwilling to work on the relationship, but you're more willing to vent about it because the payoff is much sweeter when you go online and vent about it until you log off. Then you got to go deal with that person again. And sometimes people are just dealing with that person because it gives them some content to bring to social media, their online life. So, but regardless, chaos is chaos. It's waiting in the box. Until you meet that person, you really are curious about looking into the relationship. And then you got to open that box, the only way there. And then chaos comes flowing out. It just comes flying out. And the interesting thing is that nearly every one of us get overwhelmed by it. I've been overwhelmed by it too. I'm not saying I'm free of any of this. I've gone through it. I've realized the follies of my way because I was brought up in a feral way. Most of us were, by the way, very feral. We're living in a society of sophistication, but yet we're brought up like we're wild children raised by wolves or something. When it comes to specific topics, like the 8 areas of maturity, we can start pointing them out where you went feral. You came up with your own understanding, your own concepts, and you came with your own reality about that particular area, and then you think everybody else shares those same principles, values, and understandings because they have similar situations or experiences, and then you qualify everybody's had the same thing, right? But then when we talk about it, you say, no, I don't feel that way. Look at all your actions. Look at all the thoughts you've had up until the point you've really focused on it. Yeah, it's going to start telling you a different story versus what you believe you need to say or what you need to think in order to look good to the people you're talking to, and including yourself, so you don't feel like you're taking a hit on the ego because you've been living in a way that is something you'd prefer people not to think of you as. But nonetheless, we live with a Pandora's box. We live with chaos waiting inside. And then we come across an opportunity where somebody says, I want to be with you. I want to date you, and I want to be in a relationship, living in the relationship with you. I really want to be there. All those lessons are coming. They're going to start opening up. If you open your heart, the box comes open, and then those lessons come out. In the beginning, typically, it might scare you, but yet at the same time, your willingness to work through it seems to have a renewed vigor. I really do want to do this. I am actually all in. I want to make this thing work. I am in. Because you see the reward is significant enough to put in the effort. And then chaos hits you, smacks you right upside the face. Gives you a good one. And you're like, whew. Well, that was a past relationship. Emotionally, I just felt something I felt before emotionally for somebody else, but the patterns are different. You don't think the way, you don't smell the way, you don't do the way, you don't whatever the thing is that creates the exception to the new person. And then another thing smacks you. Same thing. Typically, not the same person, can't hold them to the same convictions, but emotionally, I'm starting to really collect some undesirable negative carryover. So we continue. Oh, then we get to you get hit with a good one. You're like, I don't know if I want to be in this anymore. That's a heavy one. It's either patterns, behaviors, um, speech things, thinking processes, something lines up too close to a previous experience and makes you go, ooh, bad call, shouldn't do this, need to back away, get out of this. And we get confined by the past, right? We're shackling ourselves along the way. You put little shackles on, but you're like, it's not a big deal. Barely restricts my movement. Doesn't do much. This doesn't belong to that person. You're not going to forget it. You might wait till you accumulate the heavier weight, something really of decent value hits you, and then you're like, son of a bitch. I really, yeah, wow, I made a mistake here. And then all the other things you've been going, this person's not quite like those people, you know, starts to add up to the point where you're like, oh man, I might have made a real mistake here. Well, Pandora's box is releasing the chaos, the things, the lessons that you have refused to learn. Now, refusal of learning doesn't mean you've just like directly said, I'm not learning this, never again. It could be the never again language. Never again am I going to go through this. What direction you going with that never again though? Is it avoidance or is it completion? Because it's a big world of differences depending on your effort and what you actually know and how you really are devoted to develop yourself. Here's the thing: if you're willing to devote and develop yourself, devoted to do so, you start learning the lessons because chaos is a lesson unlearned. It's really what it is. Um, so what is it now? Like you start to learn those lessons. What is that? Well, you're completing lessons. When you open up Pandora's box, and I do suggest that you understand what your capacity for change and capacity for chaos is. Because if you have a low capacity for chaos, you let one lesson out at a time. And man, you got to focus on working on that. Beautiful thing is that every time you let a lesson out, that is that representation of chaos, you learn it, your confidence will go up. You will develop. You get a new skill. It may be a continuation and build on an old skill, but it's strengthening the skill. So therefore it is creating more momentum or value. It is something that you're getting out of it no matter what. So it may not necessarily be a new skill, but you're building, you're developing, and you're towards the desirable. Because life's going to show up at some point in time, and all of what you've done to work on yourself, to develop yourself, is now capable of dealing with this surprise that life just threw you, the curveball. Other people will be destroyed by it, but you have actually developed in a way that you have the adaptability to really work your way through it. So, yeah, with this is the lessons that they come out that you're capable of dealing with, and you take those on, you develop. By the way, capable of dealing with can still make you feel defeated. You just have to really just knuckle down and keep pushing. Keep going. Do not stop. Don't stop. Keep going. You are strengthening one or more of the 8 areas of maturity within yourself when you do this. The beautiful thing about it is that lesson, once it's accomplished, well, you've got Pandora's box can take a lesson that's completed. It's no longer in chaos, but it belongs in the box in the way that you use it, creating a mental vehicle, a tool for you to really build you up, to increase your confidence about who you are as a person, who you are in this world, and what you've done, and how you can make a more desirable legacy of your life. So, with that, you've got lessons that you've learned. Well, they don't just disappear. If you put them back in the box, you put it into a category of accomplishments, but you put it into that specific category and you keep letting the chaos out because you're taking the undesirable things, and as they come out, you're putting the desirable back in. And before you know it, Pandora's box is no longer a curse. It truly is a gift. It's a gift you give yourself. these lessons for everybody, man. We've all got them. We've all got Pandora's box full of chaos. We all do. And it's designed specifically for us. It's why it's so scary to touch it, because all of those are your lessons, not somebody else's. They're yours. So as soon as you recognize there's chaos waiting to come out, it makes you really want to back up, because you recognize the lessons that you didn't want to learn, that you didn't want to take on, you didn't want to develop. So scary as hell, right? And I mean real fear for yourself, because you've gone through it before. It's something that you're recognizing, you're familiar with. So lessons learned become an asset to you. It's no longer chaos. They're lesson assets, or asset lessons. Yeah, so they build up too. Well, you'll have plenty of manageable lessons at this stage of your life that you just let them out. You realize you do actually have the abilities to work your way through it, even if they're exhausting. You still have it. You just have to let the right amount out, one at a time, typically, preferably. But it may be a few. Sometimes you open the box and a couple pop out at you, and you didn't realize that you were going to have a couple. But you can still manage them effectively. You learn that you're capable of, like, juggling, basically. You learn you're capable of dealing with more than one lesson at a time, more than one chaotic event at a time. Because you're, one, familiar with that chaotic event. You just can't do what you've done before. You have to do something different. And you can bring the skills from what you've learned since then in to help you deal with that chaos. And you find that some of them are ridiculously simple to work through and incredibly and almost insultingly simple to complete, but you didn't know because you locked it away. Some, not so much. And then you've got these massive titans. You've got these you've got colossuses, you've got titans, you've got mountains, you've got all kinds of things that are between you and your goal. You just don't always see them because you're really caught up in the battlefield, right? You got all this chaos flowing around you, and you're just dealing with these things that are very immediate to you. As you clear off that battlefield, you get done with these lessons, you put them in as your asset lesson and replace the chaos, your confidence will go up a bit, especially when you reflect back at it. But you get one of those colossuses coming up, and this thing really looks impossible to you. So how many colossuses do you have to deal with before you can take on a titan? You know, if you really keep looking at it this way. Again, I like packaging things this way because, look, life's going to have these real challenges, right? If you haven't dealt with an illness in the family that it can take somebody's life, you don't know what it's like to deal with a titan or a colossus. You just haven't done it yet. You've dealt with other things, you know, but getting and not having the shade of lipstick you want being some sort of, you know, chaotic event for you is not the same as dealing with somebody that just got a diagnosis that is pretty bleak, you know, and that may not, it may be completely accurate. You may only have a little bit of time left with this person. That's the case. That is a colossus or a titan. That is a mountain of emotion. It's a huge challenge that you're not going to feel ready for. It is incredibly challenging to deal with things like that. You know, hell, you could have the colossus of losing your job and you didn't expect it. Finding out your partner has had an affair on you or is leaving you. Could be, you know, your entire industry is dried up, no longer has economic value. It could be that, you know, you got falsely framed for something in a legal situation. We don't know what it is. It's something that is out there that is a big challenge. Have you ever noticed that some people just seem to be able to take those types of challenges on and just gets through it? They can do it. It almost seems like a tactful or professional kind of way. And then you have other people, man, that's it. That's the end of it. You know, they're destroyed. Somebody else needs to carry them through because they got nothing. You know, they're completely incapable. They've got nothing left in them in no way. Why do some have the ability and the capacity to do it even on their own, and others can't even be carried through it because they're falling apart like water through people's hands? You know, like that kind of like just inability to function. So what you do is you take these lessons that you have come through, the chaos that you have tamed, into the lesson, or the asset lesson, and then you qualify. You could say, my God, what's coming? This is massive. I don't know if I can do it. This is unbelievably challenging. What's on its way? I can tell it is huge. And I can tell it is going to rock my world. And I am not looking forward to it. This is something that I do not want to experience. This is going to hurt. This is going to ruin me. That kind of language shows up, right? Because you are so overwhelmed by this sheer size of this thing coming and your ability to tolerate and deal with the things. So here's where you turn Pandora's box into an asset opportunity. You say, I'm going to go look back in that box again, and I'm going to look at every single one of those lessons of chaos that I tamed and turned into an asset. I'm going to look at every single one of those, and I'm going to remember what I thought before taking on that challenge, that lesson. And I'm going to think, who did I believe myself to be? How effective did I think I was going to be at it? And what did it really take to get through it? And who did I become after learning that lesson? Every lesson, every single lesson you learn in life builds on you. You will not learn a single lesson in this life without building on you in some way. When you learn a lesson effectively, it becomes an asset to who you are. And that character asset is what other people recognize. Even if they never qualify, they just know you're different. And this is the powerful, they know you're different. The desirable, they know you're different. You are a higher value human being to a lot of people. You are a living asset to other people because you inspire them. You give them something that falls into the asset category. You are some sort of resource that they now have available to them, even if that resource is not a direct access, but you can inspire them. You can watch videos that they put out. They put out material, develop stuff, whatever it is, course materials, whatever it might be. They help you become that next level of who you want to be. That's a high value person. What builds them into that position is they do this. They take on those challenges. They face what other people don't want to face. They get the lessons other people have been resistant to learn because they didn't want to face those challenges. They're the ones, the risk takers are also the ones that take on the greatest challenges, the greatest lessons. Because the lessons they learn are the ones that other people will pay for. They'll pay with their attention, they'll pay with their money, they'll pay with what other resources they could possibly bring to the table to just simply get a little piece of that lesson that they were unwilling to learn. They're a high value human being. So that's the person that's capable. That's the one that does this kind of work. So whenever you have that Colossus coming up or that Titan, by the way, I don't know if you're really shaking in your boots over a Colossus, a Titan's going to kill you. Prepare yourself. Don't even think about the Titan. Don't worry about it. You got your Colossus to deal with first. I've got mine. Absolutely. I do this work all the time. I recognize. I've already told one person specifically, you are my Colossus. You are the Colossus in representation here. And I'm not backing down. I am not going to do it. I'm going to work my way through every bit of this to become that much better, to become that much more capable. And I honor the fact that you're there for this. And I honor the fact that I'm going to face it because this is mine. This is for me. And you're welcome to be a part of that. And you are a part of it. But I'd like to be able to help you see what I learn in this process. Yes, I share. That's the way that I am. So with that, you look back, you qualify. You got that Colossus coming up, man. You can see the shadow of it. You can see the silhouette in the distance, and it's something big. It's something serious. Then you look back, you see all the lessons of the things you've already overcome. You see that you have become greater and more powerful across the board. Every time you qualify how you felt prior to taking on one of those moments of chaos that turned into a good lesson, an asset to you, it builds you up. It'll help with your confidence. It'll also give you, in my experiences, the excitement of taking that Colossus on. Because I know that I keep this up, man. God, if I keep this up, what I gained from all those other things that I tamed into lessons that were an asset, what I got from all of that, this is a bigger lesson to me. This is really massive. This one might be the one that really just turns it all. This might be my tipping point lesson. Because you'll have a tipping point lesson. You're going to have one that really makes you get it. Like Les Brown says in the financial concepts, and especially in the financial Colossus, right? The hardest thing he ever did was convince himself he could make $1 million. The easiest thing he ever did was made $1 million. But he had to convince himself first. And it was the hardest thing he ever did, to convince himself he was actually able to do it. You know, beautiful statement, Les Brown. Other people have said the same thing. It's just that's where he's my totem for it. So, all right, with that, you got these massive things coming up. That's what excites me about a Colossus. I see that in the distance and I say, oh, man, I am going to work my way through this. I'm going to beat my own ass. I'm going to go through everything to become better. I am devoted to growth. So I've identified a Colossus. I've got a couple of them that I've recognized. Every area of maturity, actually. Physical, those aren't Colossus or Titans. They're just little pieces of chaos left. But I put a lot of work into that, so I don't have any of those that I know of. Now, barring any kind of surprises, nothing's on the horizon that I can see when it comes to the physical. Community, taking that on. I've got a couple of Colossus there, but they're really not. I would say somewhere along the lines, they're not intimidating necessarily by comparison to like the relationship Colossus, or finance Colossus, or business not so much. Sexuality definitely not. Emotions, yeah, I got Colossus out there in emotions too. Yeah, the same person represents a Colossus in that as well. Oh, and then purpose. That's a Titan. That's a big son of a bitch. But I don't care. I'm after it. Purpose for me is the maturity project. And every single day I do a video, I create content, I create, material. I engage with somebody. My goal is to make a difference no matter what. And I'm learning with every single step. And I'm not right for everybody. But the more I interact with people, the more right I get for other people. Because, look, I'm just wanting to make a difference for people and make the most desirable outcome. That's all I want to do. I've lived my life for that. And I've realized, and I have come to complete terms with it. This is the way that I am. And this is what I'm devoting my life to. I have devoted my life to this, but I'm not willing to devote any more distraction to it. So, this is it. So, all right. So, with that, lessons come up. You're going to struggle no matter what. Choose your struggle. Same thing. You think it's, hard to lose weight and to be in good shape. Try not doing it ever. Yeah, the costs are so much more than a little bit of time out of your day. One person sits in front of the doctor and they tell them, hey, you don't have a choice anymore. No, you have no choice. You can't go to the gym and improve this anymore. This is it. Tomorrow's going to be a little worse. The day after that's going to be a little worse. 6 months from now is not going to be today. It's worse. A year from that, worse than 6 months. Yeah. But you could have done something about it, but you didn't. You avoided it. You let chaos take your life. Pandora's box can take your life. Now, it doesn't mean it's taking your life in a way of like ending you right now. It robs you of fulfillment. It robs you of the joy. It robs you of the huge benefit of it being alive. You've got so much ahead of you. Let's work on it together. Okay? Join the Maturity Project. Subscribe to the channel. Send me an email at yourmaturityproject@gmail.com and I'll send you over a starter kit, little starter packet thing. Just the basics for the 8 different areas of maturity. I am putting together course material. I'm putting together things to help people develop. You'll have first access to that. You'll also, as I write some of these small books and things, in each one of the areas of maturity, that kind of stuff, I'll also create some PDFs and or when there's printed material, get some opportunities for you. So we're going to make a change. We're going to put this thing together. We're going to turn this ship around. We are going to make it that we are the change that we want to see in the world. Because the more people that are in that with me, you are the change with me. You are the difference. Yeah, we'll turn this thing around. I don't care how daunting it all looks. Don't care. We're going to focus on the thing that matters the most, and that's you. That's it. And then from there, you make those changes. You'll inspire others. You will be the change. Again, subscribe to the channel. Put a comment in the comment section. Let's start a community piece here. Talk to the community. Let's get this thing out there so that others know you're up to something. And they also know what you're up to. And you can contribute to them, inspire them into some change. Do it with me. Okay? I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears. This is the Maturity Project. We are dedicated to making a difference. And we will do it. follow with us, okay? The path to hell is paved with good intentions. We will not make that path. We won't do it. We will be the disruptors of the path to hell. Society is being pushed that way. Social media is the fast, slippery slope into a path to hell. You won't be a narcissist with this approach. So, high-value human being is what you will become. You already are to me, but I want you to see it. Because when you see it, you'll take ownership over it. When you take ownership over it, other people will see it and they'll get it. So, all right, till next time. Thanks for tuning in. Share this video with people in your life you want to start a meaningful conversation with. Let's get that started, okay? Encourage them to listen as well. Start this off as a regimen in your day. Listen to the videos. Set something up. First thing, cup of coffee, whatever, and watch one of these. Polarize your day. Set yourself up with a different start. Because if you start different, you can end different. But if you don't start different, you probably won't end different unless something happens to you that makes it end different. But a lot of times that's not to the benefit. That's not the desirable. It's not within your control. You're a victim of those circumstances. I'm going to make you powerful. I'm going to have you see how powerful you really are. All right, till next time. Maturity Project. Let's get to it. See ya.